Strawberry Hill was written by Mary Ann Hoberman and published by Little Brown Books for Young Readers. It was also nominated for the Iowa Children's Choice Award in 2013. In this story, Allie, the main character, who's a 10-year-old girl, learns that she will be moving to the country with her family. The story takes place during the Great Depression and depicts what it was like to be a young girl that moves to a new place because her parents are in search of a job. The Josephina story quilt was written by Eleanor Court and published by HarperCollins. The story takes place in 1850 when a little girl named Faith takes a trip to California with her family and her pet hen Josephina. On this trip, her family decides to bring the patchwork quilt that Faith's mother and grandmother had created. Each patch has its very own story, and when they are all put together, it tells the history of their family. During this trip, Faith decides that she will make her own patchwork quilt. When Faith and her family finally reach California, she is able to sleep with her new quilt that is full of new memories. Ruth in the Green Book was written by Calvin Alexander Ramsey and published by Carol Rhoda Books. This story takes place in the 1950s during the Jim Crow era. It follows an African-American little girl named Ruth and her family who take a trip from Chicago to Alabama. During the trip, they find out that black travelers aren't treated very well in certain towns and are refused service at some places. One of the gas stations, a nice attendant gives Ruth the Green Book, which lists all the places that welcome African-American travelers. Millie and the Macy's Parade was written by Shauna Corey and published by Scholastic. Millie and the Macy's Parade is set in the 1920s and tells the story of the first Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade through the eyes of a young girl. This fun and heartwarming holiday tale introduces readers to the spunky young Polish immigrant Millie and follows her as she plans a way to incorporate the various traditions of the many immigrants working at Macy's, including her father, into the holiday festivities. The Boy Who Carried the Flag is written by Jana Carson and published by Treasure Bay. This story is set during the Revolutionary War time, and the main character is a young boy who makes a very dangerous decision to deliver the flag that Betsy Ross created to General Washington to help the soldiers in Valley Forge. This task is dangerous not only because there is a snowstorm, but also because if the boy gets caught transporting the flag by the British troops, he could potentially get captured. The Witch of Blackbird Pond was written by Elizabeth George Spear and published by HMH Books for Young Readers. This story is set in a colony in Connecticut during the witch trials. The main character is Kit Tyler, who is also an orphan. Kit lives in a Puritan community and feels out of place, so she befriends a woman who is nicknamed the Witch of Blackbird Pond. The War That Saved My Life is written by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley and published by Puffin Books. This story takes place in 1939 and follows the childhood of Ada, a 10-year-old girl who has never left her apartment in London because her abusive mother is too embarrassed of her twisted foot to let her go outside. Ada is forced to spend her days inside a one-bedroom apartment. The government begins shipping children from London to escape World War II, including Ada and her little brother. This story follows Ada's first experiences outside of her apartment in London. The Devil's Arithmetic was written by Jane Yolen and published by Puffin. This story is about a young Jewish girl named Hannah. Hannah and her family attend a Passover Seder where she is transported back in time to Poland in 1942, where the Holocaust is about to take place. When she is transported back, she has a new identity named Shaya, and she is trying to warn her family members about what is going to happen. Number the Stars was written by Lois Lowry and published by Boston Houghton Mifflin Company. As German troops begin their campaign to relocate all the Jews of Denmark, 10-year-old Anne-Marie Johansson's family takes in her best friend, Ellen Rosen, and conceals her by pretending she's part of the family. Then, through Anne-Marie's eyes, readers watch as the Danish resistance smuggles almost the entire Jewish population of Denmark across the sea to Sweden. The Lemonade War is written by Jacqueline Davies and published by Houghton Mifflin. Fourth grader Evan Trusky is people smart. He is good at talking with people, even grown-ups. His younger sister Jessie, on the other hand, is math smart, but not especially good with people. So when the siblings' lemonade stand war begins, there's really no telling who will win, or even if their fight will ever end. Fever 1793 is written by Laurie Halse Anderson and published by Simon & Schuster Books. This story takes place in Philadelphia in 1793, and the main character is a 14-year-old girl named Maddie Cook. This book is about the yellow fever that was caused by mosquitoes and how Maddie tries to stay alive while everyone in her city is dying. She ends up leaving the city with her grandfather and has to learn how to survive on her own. Copper Sun was written by Sharon M. Draper and published by Athenian Books. This book is about a 15-year-old girl named Mari who lives in Ziavi, Ghana, who was torn from her African village, sold into slavery, and stripped of everything she has ever known, all except hope. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn was written by Mark Twain and published by Chatto and Windus. This story takes place in St. Petersburg, Missouri, and is about a boy named Huckleberry Finn, who is very good friends with Tom Sawyer and both part of the robbers gang. One day, Finn's drunken father comes back into town to win custody of his son, and in order for Finn to get away from his father, he fakes his own death. Along the journey, Finn meets Jim, who is a runaway slave, and from there on, the adventures begin. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas was written by John Boyne and published by David Fickling Books. This story takes place in Nazi Germany when a 9-year-old boy named Bruno moves to the new town of Auschwitz and ventures out to explore his environment. He encounters a little boy wearing striped pajamas and a golden armband on the other side of the fence, and they develop a friendship that eventually has devastating consequences. The Things They Carried was written by Tim O'Brien and published by Houghton Mifflin. This book takes place during the Vietnam War and is a compilation of short stories about a platoon of American soldiers before, during, and after the Vietnam War and the different experiences they've had.